Welcome to Baby Dribble, proudly sponsored by SweetDreamers. Baby Dribble is a fun, friendly and free parenting advice channel.
Welcome back to the Baby Dribble podcast, and today myself and Lucy are very excited to be joined by our special guest Louise. Now Louise is a senior midwife and also founded Let's Talk Birth and Baby, a private antenatal course for expectant and new parents. So welcome Louise.
Hi.
Very nice of you to join us, and would you mind telling us a little bit more about your background, please?
Yes, so I am obviously a midwife, but I wasn't always a midwife. I've worked in health service for more years than I care to remember, actually, now I'm thinking about over 20 years. Started working with the elderly when I was much younger, and then started working in the ambulance service on on control, so taking the calls, and then I started a job as the manager of the Child Development Centre in Portsmouth, so all the services for children with any developmental problems, and then I decided after I had my daughter that I wanted to be a bit more clinical, so I decided that I would give up my nice lovely job with my nice office and train to become a midwife, which I did, and here I am. I'm now a midwife, but I've in the last 2 years set up Let's Talk Birth and Baby because I feel that we as a sort of society that we don't really approach having babies in a particularly honest way, and I think I felt very frustrated for couples who were coming into the hospital having been prepared for just a natural experience and then found themselves having something even just slightly different would give them a big wobble. So I wanted to put together something that offered a real wide spectrum of information and support, really. So that's what I set up, and it's sort of grown from there, really. So I do all sorts of things now.
That sounds brilliant. How long have you had that?
I've been doing it 2 years now.
Yes,
so I do the courses at evenings and weekends in Hampshire and West Sussex, but I also do some work at the baby shows. And I do my Instagram, so The Honest Midwife. So again, The Honest Midwife is putting information out there that's stuff that's not necessarily always talked about or covered about. So things
non-flowery stuff.
The non-flowery stuff. So the forceps deliveries and the cesarean sections and just getting people to talk about that. And then obviously after the people have had their baby, it was much more about that's when you really need the support. You need that continuity of, sleep is a massive thing. I'm sure you guys know that. And I think although people know it's going to happen, the reality of actually being sleep deprived is a completely different ball game. And
for that first child.
And it's not just being tired, is it? It's actually the impact of being tired and the impact that it has on you personally as a new mum, on your relationship, on your partner and them, they're going out to work. So every dynamic in that house changes, and I think we need to start being a little bit more open about it rather than jumping up and down about how wonderful the new pram is and how we're going to go to coffee.
Very delicious.
It's just like watching people running at full pelt into a brick wall, and you're like, no, slow down. And I think having that time in the antenatal period to really get people to think about how you're going to feel about this, how you're going to feel if your mother-in-law knocks on your door and you don't want, how are you going to manage these problems that you haven't thought about? So I'm the voice of doom.
I think my mum and my granddad did try to warn me, and they do remind me of it all the time. We did warn you. Didn't warn hard enough. No. Well, it would have changed my mind.
Well, it wouldn't have changed your mind. That's the thing, it wouldn't. But I think if we can, I do get couples in the last session to go and sit down and say and talk to each other and say, right, okay, so we know what the good stuff is.
Yes.
Christmas Day, that's the good day. What are you going to do on the other 364? How are you going to help each other say, not enjoying this today?
No.
Just
it's
to
really
give that
draining.
outlet. To give that outlet.
Sounds good.
I love it actually, and it allows me much more continuity with couples because in the hospital I see them for such a short snippet of time, whereas with the job I do now they maybe book onto the antenatal class and I'm just starting to do aquanatal and first aid and the weaning, so I see them all the way through.
Yeah.
A little bit how I imagine it used to be. Like my mum said that she had a midwife at all the
different stages.
But I understand that's not
generally not
now, is it? No,
generally not now. So when people sign up to, say, an antenatal course, they're also able to contact me outside of those classes. So it's like, I don't know what's happening. Is this normal? Should I be feeling this? And they can contact me, and they get that till months. It's supposed to be 2 weeks after they've had their baby, but I still have people that are 15 months old.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. But sleep is the biggest question. I mean, you must know more about sleep than I do.
Well, we do actually have some sleep questions for you.
Do you?
Yes.
We're just going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, earlier in the week, we asked our Instagram followers some Ask the Midwife questions, and they want these answered in the podcast.
Okay, hit me.
We were inundated with questions, so thank you for everyone who has taken the time to send us your questions through. So let's get started.
I like the first lady's name.
At Holly Jane.
No, I've got no above that. Oh no, that one.
Sorry,
yes, but it was an unusual name. Yes, different name.
Sometimes the Instagram followers, they don't come through as actual names either, so I might shorten it every now and again.
Yes.
So this one is at Holly Jane, and her question was, what's the best part of being a midwife?
What's the best part of being a midwife? I think a lot of people think that it's always the babies, but for me it was never really about the babies. And I run a bumps and babies group every week, and quite often mums will say, do you want a cuddle with the baby? And I'm like, yeah. But I think for me it's about being with these couples. I love that dynamic of couples, and I do a lot of work in my classes about dads as well and partners, and I love being there at that time when I suppose it's being needed, and I think knowing that you're making such a difference. A couple of people have said to me, I wouldn't have got through it without you, and I'm like, yes you would have got through it without me, but it's knowing that you really can make a difference, which is, like I said, which is why I love doing it through my own business, because I think you can invest much more, probably more than I should. But when you're at work, you finish work and you go home, whereas with this it's different,
really,
and it's very special, and I get texts all the time with pictures of we've had our baby. My biggest downfall though is I don't remember names. I'm terrible, absolutely terrible. I think because I meet so many people, I've got I know your name is Lucy, but I can't remember what your name is.
It's another L. It's another L.
Lynda. Yes. So the best part of being a midwife is actually getting to know all these women. The worst part is I can never remember their names. And all my clients will say, if they're listening to this, they'll be like, she'll never remember my name ever.
Oh, thank you for that. We had a question from another Lucy Smith. How do you assess whether it is safe for a home birth?
So there's two different sort of answers I could give. One is with the very much the midwife head and the statistics. Whenever people ask me that question in the classes, I don't know that this may not be a popular answer across the board, but I always think if you've had a really straightforward experience the first time round, so if it was my daughter asking me, my answer would be, if you have a first time, I would want her to go into the hospital, because I wouldn't know how she was going to labour, how she was going to cope, what she would need. If she went in and had a really straightforward time and there was no issues, the second time I would feel much more comfortable with her having a home birth. But the statistics actually say that there's not a lot of difference in safety between the two. I think it's just that feeling of I suppose when you see the other side of it all the time, it becomes your majority rather than the minority. But in terms of how you assess for it, we would look at any risk factors. So did they have diabetes, had they got high blood pressure, had they had a previous difficult experience. So I think it's those, so it's looking at an individual woman and her situation about her health, and asking women as well what's important to them. Is it a home birth or a really safe outcome? And sometimes I think it's easy to get carried away on this wave of wanting it all to be perfect, but forgetting that actually sometimes it just can't be perfect. It's not always going to be perfect. And I think, again, going back to how we approach things in our society, I think we have forgotten how much safer childbirth is now than it was 100 years ago, and that's because we have the ability to intervene. And I think we have forgotten that.
Okay.
I had a home birth, didn't I, with Bradley?
Did you?
Bradley.
And what baby was him?
Number 6.
I was surprised you had time to even... I don't think you would have had time to do anything else,
should have
would
gone
you?
in and just had a little relax at the hospital.
Because Amy was super quick. I only just got there. She was number 5. So we said, no, number 6 is going to be there. Anyway, he started and then he stopped. It was just like... and then he dragged it out to the next day. But it was nice having the home birth. And there was lots of... They had like ambulance crews on standby anyway.
Really?
So
how old is he now?
He's 17 now.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And you had him at home?
Yes.
I just like my carpets too much.
You do have to think of the home furnishings also.
Forget the safety, it's just the mess. No, thank you very much. But
I could never have had my C-section at home, so...
No, I had both my babies by caesarean.
Yeah, exactly.
Too posh.
You would have to have had a little mini theatre.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
In my tiny house. Perfect. So the next question is from Charlotte. What can you expect from your first appointment with a midwife?
Lots of questions. So it's called your booking appointment generally. So the first official appointment. So you may see somebody sooner if you've got any worries or anything, but generally your first appointment is called your booking appointment. And at that appointment, what they will do is they will ask you about all your health questions. So any history of lots and lots of questions. Have you ever had a heart attack? Have you ever had heart surgery? Have you got all your own arms and legs? The questions just go on, and that's not a joke. They will ask, have you got any false limbs?
Actually, I remember being asked a lot about my family. And not knowing, and I was a bit like, I don't know.
So they will ask about your mother and father's history. So there's thought to be a connection between preeclampsia. So if your mother had preeclampsia, you are more likely, slightly more likely to have preeclampsia. You'll get asked lots of questions. You'll have your bloods taken because we need to know what blood group you are and what your iron levels are. It's just health questions really.
So be prepared.
Yes, it's generally about an hour long, the appointment, so it's quite a hefty appointment.
Yeah. Is that when you come away with all your books?
Yes, you'll get given your notes and all those sort of
things. And you keep looking through, don't you? So, I've got a chart.
And then from all the subsequent appointments, every time you go, you'll have your blood pressure taken and your urine tested. Once you're at the right gestation, they'll start listening in so you can hear baby's heartbeat. And then later down the line, they'll start measuring your bump to make sure they're happy with the growth.
Amazing.
Thank
you.
Fabulous.
I think this might be the last question we have time for, and again what we thought we'd get. So this is from Anna. When will my baby sleep through the night? Specifically 8 hours.
8 hours. Oh, bless her. There's an air of desperation in that question, isn't there? 8 hours plus.
I like the plus.
The answer to that question is really easy, and it's I don't know when your baby will sleep through the night. I think they are all different. My son, who I formula fed, slept through the night quite soon. About 6 or 7 weeks, I think. My daughter, who I breastfed, didn't feed through the night till she was 2. Sleep through the night till she was 2. But I have other mums who breastfeed and their babies sleep through, and vice versa, babies that are formula fed that don't. I do think that there is an element of value in not necessarily aiming for a routine, but differentiating between night and day. So getting into that bedtime routine. Generally, the mums and dads that I meet that are fixed on this whole routine tend to be the more stressed parents. So I think there is an element of go with the flow. I think the most important thing is that you don't overload your diary during the day, so that you are actually, that old wives' advice of sleep when the baby sleeps has not gone out of fashion, and it's so important because even sleep at 3 in the afternoon is sleep in the bank, and actually it makes a big difference. So I'm really sorry, I can't give you a definite light at the end of the tunnel.
She's not got a magic formula that she's going to whip out. Just get a little plug in.
The bedtime routine.
Well, surely the straight answer is, well, you just need a you in the dream shift.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you.
That's our last question. So thank you for everyone.
Oh, yes. Brilliant
Thank
questions.
you to everybody who came out with the questions, and thanks, Louise, for coming along.
That's it. And obviously,
and
if anybody has got any other questions they want to ask, they can always go on to the Honest Midwife on Instagram and send any questions there.
And we'll link to you. We're going to link to your website as well.
I get lots of questions and I do try and answer them all. So if you've got any specific questions, just go on there.
Just go on and then they can ask you directly. And as always, all of our Baby Dribble content can be found on our blog, YouTube, and at sweetdreamers.co.uk/Baby Dribble. So thanks again, Louise.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Bye for now.
Hey guys, really hope you enjoyed this episode of Sweet Dreamers Baby Dribble. If you did, please share and pass it on and let us know what you think.